Ever feel like you're kind of stuck? Like you're on autopilot, you know you want to make a change, like eat healthier, stress less, but you just, you fall back into the same old patterns.
It's so common. And it's not just like willpower, right?
Right.
It's about how our brains get literally wired for those habits. Dr. Joe Dispenza's work gets super interesting here.
Totally. We're diving into his stuff today, specifically from this conversation on the Diary of a CEO. You know I love a good deep dive, especially when there are brain scans.
Yeah, because this isn't just motivational talk. Dr. Dispenza's using neuroscience. He's tracking how our minds and bodies change with brain imaging and stuff.
Okay, so get this. He says by 35, a whopping 95% of who we are, our habits, reactions, even beliefs are basically automatic. Wild, right? Autopilot most of the time.
It's neuroplasticity, how our brains change based on what we do. Neurons that fire together, wire together.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. So the more we repeat something, the more ingrained it becomes. But if that's how we get stuck, can we rewire for the positive stuff too?
That's Dr. Dispenza's big argument. If we accidentally programmed ourselves for the negative, we can intentionally reprogram for the positive. He's got a whole process for it.
Okay, let's hear it. Step one, to break free from autopilot and, like, design our lives.
He calls it ingraining new information. Sounds basic, but you need that knowledge base.
Totally. Can't change what you don't understand. But it's more than just reading a self-help book, right?
Right. He says to really wire it in, don't just read it, teach it to someone else.
Interesting. So explaining it solidifies it in our own minds, too. It's like the ultimate test of understanding.
Yes. Yeah. Takes it from passive to active, strengthens those connections. But it's just step one. There are three.
Okay, what's next? How do we actually live those changes, not just understand them?
Step two is mental rehearsal. Not wishful thinking, but really imagining yourself doing things differently, like a mental movie where you're living the change.
So instead of picturing, like, late night snacking, we'd visualize ourselves choosing a healthier option or staying calm in an argument instead of freaking out.
Yes. Our brains aren't always great at separating imagination from reality. Mentally rehearsing primes those pathways, making it more likely to happen in real life.
Whoa, so we're tricking our brains. Love it. Is there proof this works? Has he seen this?
He did this cool study with piano players. One group practiced for an hour a day. Another group just imagined playing the fingers, the music, everything.
Wait, so one group touched a piano, the other just thought about it? What happened?
Both groups got way better, and their brain scans showed similar changes. Mental rehearsal was almost as good as physical practice.
That is so cool. Okay, so we've got the knowledge, the mental rehearsal, but there's got to be more, right? What's the final piece of this reprogramming thing?
There is, and it might be the most important. It's emotional conditioning.
Emotional what now? Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
It's about evoking the feeling you'd have if you'd already made the change.
Okay, so if I'm trying to be healthier and I want to resist those, like, late night cravings, I shouldn't just see myself choosing the carrots. I should feel how I'd feel making that healthy choice.
Exactly. It's aligning your feelings with what you want. Because think about it, our bodies are really good at connecting emotions to things.
Oh, for sure. Like you smell a certain food, maybe something from your childhood, and suddenly you're flooded with good memories. Or a song from a breakup, bam, you're sad.
That's it. And just like those things can trigger us, Dr. Dispenza says we can actually choose to feel those positive emotions, joy or confidence or whatever. And by feeling them, we tell our bodies and our minds that it's not only possible, but it already feels good. It's familiar.
So we're basically like pre-paving the road with good vibes, so it's easier to stay on track when things get tough. So cool. Okay, but speaking of tough, we've all been there. You're doing amazing. You're motivated. And then, bam, you're back to square one. Those old habits creep back in. Why? What's happening when we relapse, as he calls it?
He says we're going unconscious, slipping back into those old ways of thinking, the ones we've been running on for, like, forever.
It's like those paths in our brains are so well worn, it's just easier to fall back into them even when we know the new path is better.
Yeah, exactly. And it's often triggered by things around us or people. People who, without realizing it, they push our buttons and pull us back.
Oh, totally. That friend who's all, come on, one cookie won't hurt when you're trying to cut back on sugar or like a stressful day at work and suddenly it's comfort food time.
Exactly. Those triggers can really mess with us if we're not paying attention. That's why he talks about creating a gap between, waking up and jumping into the day.
This is where the 10 a.m. challenge comes in, right? Tell me everything.
Not quite. We'll get there. But this 10 a.m. thing, it's all about it's about deciding how you want to be in the world, before the world tells you how to be. But he does say that most people, first thing they do, they grab their phones.
Oh, guilty. Emails, social media, news. It's
Right.
like automatic.
And that's what he's talking about. We get bombarded before we even like breathe and decide what we want our day to be. He says to make a space, even a little one, where you decide how you want to think and feel and be.
Okay, I'm all about intentions. But I am not a morning person. Waking up even earlier, that sounds hard. What if I hit snooze on my good intentions?
It doesn't have to be a long thing. Even a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation, deep breathing, writing, or just sitting with some tea, just you and your breath, and setting an intention.
So it's not about doing more, it's about starting with intention, even just for a minute.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Going from reacting to being proactive, from being a passenger to being the driver.
Love that. So we're not just reacting to whatever, we're choosing how we respond, even when things are crazy.
Yes. And you have to keep doing it. Like anything new, you got to practice to rewire those pathways. New default mode, right?
Which brings us to the 10 a.m. challenge. We've set the stage. Now let's talk about solidifying those changes.
Think of it like a mid-morning reset. Even if you've slipped up, you can hit the reset button.
Ooh, I like that. Tell me more. Okay, so it's 10 a.m. Maybe things are going great, or maybe we've already fallen off track. What do we do?
It's like a do-over. Reconnect with yourself, and the energy you want for the rest of the day.
So even with a good start, stuff happens. Distractions, that email from your boss that just throws you off. It's like a reminder to reset.
Yeah, you're interrupting those unconscious things and choosing how you want to be.
Love it. Like a mindfulness break, but with a purpose. So what's it look like? Do I need to hide and meditate for an hour?
It can be super simple. Just create a pause. Disconnect from the outside. Reconnect with yourself, even for a minute.
So instead of more coffee or scrolling on my phone, I could breathe, maybe write down some things I'm grateful for, or just picture myself totally rocking the rest of my day.
Exactly. Just a minute or two can change your whole vibe.
Totally doable. I'm less stressed already. Okay, but what about those really stubborn habits, the ones that just keep coming back? Dr. Dispenza, he sees some wild stuff in his workshops, right? People healing from chronic pain, overcoming phobias, even walking after years in a wheelchair.
Right. And as amazing as those are, it shows you how powerful our minds are over our bodies even.
We've got this untapped potential, but we don't know how to turn it on.
And here's where it gets really cool. He thinks we can activate these latent systems in our brains through meditation, through intention, that kind of thing.
Wait, latent systems? Are we talking superpowers now?
Maybe not superpowers. But he does think we can do more than we realize. He even talks about the brain having its own built-in psychedelics, like a way to tap into these other states of consciousness.
Okay, now that is wild. So not just breaking bad habits, but unlocking something more. Human potential stuff.
Exactly. And it's not just a hunch. He sees it in the workshops, in the data. Remember the brain scans. He sees big changes even in people who are new to meditation.
So we've got these abilities just waiting, and maybe meditation's the key. I'm into it, but also a little skeptical. What's the science on that?
Well, he talks about the pineal gland a lot. That tiny part of the brain is connected to intuition and all that. He thinks it might be picking up on things beyond our senses.
So our brains are like radios, and we can tune them to these other frequencies. That's a cool visual.
Right. And the more we meditate, the stronger those pathways get.
Like upgrading our internal software. Okay, but here's another one. If our thoughts are so powerful for us, what about everyone together? Can we actually impact the world with our thoughts?
That's a big question, right? And he's actually exploring that with his Global Walk for Change. It's not just, a fun event. It's based on research that says when tons of people focus on the same intention, things change measurably.
Wait, really? Our collective thoughts can, change what happens? That's a lot.
It is, but more and more evidence suggests that collective consciousness might be real. And even if you don't buy it, there's something powerful about, thousands of people all wanting peace or healing or whatever it is.
For sure. And even if we can't prove it, it's worth being open to it, right? What if it's true?
Totally. And that's what I love about Dr. Dispenza's work.
Yeah.
He makes you question things, explore, and really participate in your own, evolution.
It's we're not just watching our lives, we're creating them. And if we can change our minds, maybe we can change the world, too.
I love that. It reminds me of that Gandhi quote, "Be the change you wish to see."
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the takeaway for me is possibility. Asking what if, experimenting, seeing what happens.
Yes. Even if we don't see miracles right away, the journey itself is so worth it.
Taking back control of our thoughts, our feelings, our lives, recognizing our own power.
Beautifully said. We're creators. We shape our own reality.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to step away from the mics and put some of this into practice.
I'm with you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep.
And remember, the best stuff is often right outside that comfort zone.